G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talks Stuff, Ukraine War Update for the 26th of April 2026. I'm your host, the author, David Applegate, and while the war continues, I'll continue to bring my unique perspective on the war and bring you truth and insights that everyone else will not bring you. They have no interest in the truth, they only want clickbait. Most of the Ukraine channels are lying to you every day and bringing you propaganda to prolong this war while they kill off Ukraine. This is what happened. World War One, World War Two. Proxy wars, compiling trouble on top of trouble. This is not just Britain or France or Germany alone. There's many moving parts of this. There's India, there is Pakistan, there is China. And, of course, many countries wanting to test their weapons, are willing to, get back at the Russians. This is the problem. People are carrying such chips on their shoulders that the historical grievances and all this other bullshit nonsense to justify violence. Now we have the Russians trying to expand the buffer zone in the north. Limited success, very limited success. There's only small areas of success. Drone attacks on Kharkiv, pinpricks attacks. But still, each attack costs Ukraine millions of dollars in air defences for a few million in drones. It's a 10-to-1 expenditure. That's in Russia's favour. Russia's drones cost far less than Ukraine's air defences. Now we have a renewal in Kupiansk of the offensive, a much bigger offensive than previous. Still, they are not overwhelming Ukrainian defences. And again, the lineman offensive is back on. Again, no overwhelming force. And it's the same. Most of the front is static, grinding away at the usual places for no apparent gains yet. We need little markers here or there. But as I said, look at it. Russia can cross the river. They are on both sides of the river now fighting. There's renewed fighting in most of the front. Unusual, but they are closer to fake airbase here, or whether it's a fake or real airbase, who knows. But it looks like an airbase, smells like an airbase, but photos claim it's a village. So, forward operating base, or supply depot, whatever it was. It was built in the 90s, so yeah, nothing really consequence on the front. Now, the Russians have made some progress, though. And we have progress in Rodinska, Severivka, near Hrishnini, and Novovinska, and Mini, and Borovininka has fallen to the Russians. Sorry, only the last town has fallen to the Russians. The others, there's been advances in and around those areas, as you can see, right on Manoni, but Borovininka has been reported as fallen to the Russians. But I can't see quite where it is. Sorry. Now, of course, there was renewed and continuous attacks in the Kharkiv area, Kharkiv, Dnipro, and Kherson. Now, of course, when I talk about merch, this is my merch store, Empire of Elves link in the description below. And support the channel by buying a fantasy-themed coffee mug from my writing. Thank you. Now, yesterday they claimed to have shot down over 600 drones, but today they can only shoot down 144. Yeah. And 19 attacks were recorded at 11 locations, yet we are not given those 11 locations or the results of those attacks. There is no transparency in Ukraine. They'll tell you, drone exploded near a window. Was it shot there? Did it collide? Who knows? Because they won't prove any of their claims. They're afraid of the truth, obviously. And Romania, here's the thing. Romania, ta-da! Romania is here. The drone incident is here. There are no drone incidences in the last 48 hours near this area. Yet they claim to have found wreckage from a second drone and summoned the Russian ambassador and chewed his ear out with irresponsible and provocative acts of the fundamental principles of international law. A brutal imperial act of conquest against the sovereign neighbour. Blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. You're not Russia's sovereign neighbour. You are a neighbour of a neighbour. You're in the same neighbourhood, but you are not right beside each other. But it's a violation of regional peace, climate, and security. Woo! We can use big words, everyone. Europe is going to... Yeah. Europe is in the false flag business once again. Well, it beats blowing up our German railway in Turkey, doesn't it? Yeah, that's Britain, World War One. Although France and Britain engaged in sabotage of German trains and undermining the Germans in the Middle East to stop the German economy from growing. This is what's going on. This is to stop the Russian economy from growing. The British, French and Germans are engaged in their shenanigans. And they're using Ukraine because they got a big chip on their shoulder. They're willing to kill Russians and die in the thousands per day doing so. Now, Ukraine is mostly a mess. And the front line is not clearly defined anymore. If you look on some maps, this is the flooded zone, but on some maps, they'll have all sorts of grey outlines. These are the rough positions of the Ukrainian lines. They actually show you the Ukrainian lines on most maps. And show you that there's this big grey area between the Ukrainians and Russians. And this grey area is defined by drone range. Not by missile range, by drone range. Because anybody entering this grey area is in range of each other's drones. It's the overlap between the Russian and Ukrainian drones. And so anyone entering that, any vehicle, any person in that area is subject to a UAV attack, and 80% of Ukraine's casualties come from UAV attacks. There, Galati. Near. The border is near Gelati. Oh, sorry. Border's near Gelati. No, yeah. It claims it's the first time a drone caused property damage in Romania. Just days after, I point out that there's no drone attack reported, no drones, no photos, no nothing. And British jets, for the first time, have reportedly entered Ukrainian airspace, engaged drones over Ukrainian airspace. That is participation in a war. Britain has participated in the war, and it's not the first time. But it's the first time British jets have. This is growing escalation towards World War III. There's attacks every day, verbal, physical, emotional attacks on anybody speaking out against Ukraine and its corruption and leading us to war. But the people who push for the war in Ukraine, they are not fighting this war. They will not send their children to this war. They will not send migrants to this war. They will not send diversity hires to this war. They will send the natives of Europe to die and then say, we got to rebuild our economies and bring in more foreigners. And liberals just sit there and cheer because they want their free health. All they care about is their free health care and their artificially padded stock markets. All right. So we have widespread use of drones. This created a grey zone. This is a no man's land in World War One parlance, where anybody entering the zone is subject to a drone attack and can be reached by drones on both sides. The Wall Street Journal has claimed that $90 billion is not enough for Ukraine. They need another $19 billion to cover its budget. What's the matter? Got to pay off all those false flag events? All those bodies you're keeping on ice to not hand over to their families so you don't have to pay death benefits? Keeping you all the power outages? Ursula von der Leyen's jewelry expenditure? Yeah, all those dumb earrings that she keeps. Got to keep her in hairstyle every day. Otherwise, I've got to have my hairstyle every day. Ursula always lying. It's a good day for Ukraine and Europe. We murdered more people. We spent more money. This is historically accurate. If you look at war, more wars under queens than kings. Germans have been milked for, cash. Germans have been bullied for decades into being slaves of the state, turned into cash cows paying high taxes to fund European expansionism at the expense of the German population. Now they're talking about, you need to pay back after it receives reparations from Russia. Yeah, and of course Russia says that's a complete detachment from reality. The EU has gone mad. Now, Viktor Orban has given his farewell speech to Parliament. He said he will not take his seat after the defeat. He'll focus on reorganising country's patriotic movement. And he has given back parliamentary mandate that he inherited for 16 years of power, that he's no longer needed in Parliament, but part of the patriotic movement. Yeah. And his party was crushed by Peter Magar's party with assistance from the EU and blackmail from Ukraine. They won 141 seats out of 199 seats. And now he's going to bring in LGBTQ TV channels. He's going to liberalise and subsidise fuel. And the fuel is flowing again. He's going to buy votes with aid packages and pay for it with sanctions on Russia. But immediately, that is ridiculous. Russia doesn't pay the sanctions, you do with higher fuel costs. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's going to be a disaster. Europe is a disaster. If they weren't illegally printing money after hand over fist, they would have collapsed a long time ago. People have no idea how corrupt Europe is and the banking system there. But people are waking up and realising that their savings are worthless. You can't save for your future. It's worthless. It can't keep up with inflation. And no politician, left or right. It's the mainstream parties are unified in their corruption. That's the problem. The people can't seem to figure it out, and trying to save people is just I don't know. Am I Don Quixote chasing windmills, trying to free people from the Matrix, and instead of being Neo leaping across tall buildings, I'm that poor guy no one knows who fell between the two buildings, and it's just a bug splat on the I'm a bug splat on the pavement. I'm just sitting there twitching in real life, and I'm just talking to myself as I'm slowly dying in this delusional state. Well, if it is a delusional state and I have hit the pavement, don't wake me up. But if I'm not, and I do have hundreds of people watching every day, that's a good thing. Because hundreds will lead to thousands. Thousands will hopefully lead to 1 million. We have a long way to go, people. Please. If you want to be liberated from the two-party corruption, we have to expand. We have to grow. We have to overcome the barriers. We have to have... And yes, I'm going to have to do more Rumble-only exclusive videos to try and build the audience, to try and get people to realize that YouTube is screw YouTube. Here we have Russians. That's a 153 long barrel. Entering Morkovo. That's a file photo. That's neither here nor there. Lots of Ukraine uses them all the time, but nobody seems to care. So, but yeah, Russians use them too. I mean, but they do have hundreds of images from the front line on there. It's just they don't have many battle images. But it's not our country. It's not our responsibility. If Russia doesn't want to be transparent, that's got nothing to do with us. But if Europe is the one not being transparent, which is everything to do with us. And every day Europeans bark their Orwellian madness at Trump, taking out their anger and frustrations on Trump because he won't do what they're told. It's not your responsibility, right? The US president is not responsible to Europe. He is not your puppet. He is not your plaything. You have become so corrupted by the sycophantic sniveling of the Democrats that you actually have some aristocratic arrogance that you are that important that America has to grovel to you. Now, Russians have been advancing on multiple fronts. They've now, in their terms, significant losses, which are mediocre compared to the amount of bombs. Like I said, America's dropped 10 times the ordnance on Iran. And Russia's slowly grinding away. But it's amazing that Europeans will put up with a year of war, planning for a decade of war with Russia, and yet when it comes to Iran, they want results yesterday. Now. And this is the low IQ, hyperbolic, immature child that is having a tantrum. Everything has to be their way, every day, every way. And it's deliberately tiring. Right? They know it tires people out. It knows it gets people to back off and not talk to them. So every time you talk to them, they'll be rude, they'll be insulting, they will just engage in tirade after tirade, and obviously completely disrespectful merely for the sake of causing you to back off. Of course, it's fundamental insanity to believe that you can save a liberal. You can't. You can't save a liberal. You can't save Ukraine. You cannot save Europe. Right? You can only liberate it and take care of the survivors. The European establishment has just so corrupted with nihilism to try and they think they can manage, this. They can manage everything, and they can't. They're under constant economic and political warfare, and instead of engaging in it in a mature public response, they hide it. They try to bury it. They try to bury the corruption in Spain. They try to bury the corruption of Angela Merkel, Keir Starmer and all the accusations about him, and Macron. And this is the problem. Those who talk the most about international law and respect and maturity and diplomacy, they're all a bunch of cowards hiding in bunkers, trying to just using insults to try and make the Americans kowtow to them. Oh, we'll like you if you be nice to us. If you do everything, it's just the mean girl attitude. They're mean to you until you're subservient. And even then, they disrespect you just so you know that who's in charge at all times. No, that mean girl, no. Kick him to the only thing you can do with mean girls is kick him to the curve and wait till they grow up and fail many times and come crying, Daddy, help me, Daddy. And this is where the strong hand comes into play. They hate the strong hand because all they want is to manipulate you for the rest of your life, and there's no saving them. Okay, once they go down that dark path, right, you have to leave them alone. You have to just let them destroy themselves. Because the only way to pick themselves up is you come in after the fact and take care of the survivors. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Now, the world's full of people trying to drag the West down all the time. Petty, jealous, envious, and greedy. You can't save the third world. I have no respect for Russia. I have no respect for their constant insults and tirades. I'm just bringing you the news as it is, but I need your support. You can support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video, and bye for now.